and I'm just here to help you embody intentional leadership so that you can be the leader that your business or nonprofit is calling you to be. Okay? So in this series, I have videos that are going to go through the patterns I've seen with my 10 plus years of consulting and observing, and then just in my own experience of building a business, especially an online empire, of the transformations that have needed to occur within, the changes we need to embody from as we the changes we need to embody as we evolve into leaders for our business and nonprofit. So in this first video, we're going to talk about leading as a consumer versus a conscious creator. So when I say the word consumer, you might be thinking of someone who just buys things, right? Someone who's always purchasing, who's always buying, someone who gives into clickbait. And what I really mean by that word when I say consumer is, it's someone operating in a condition that sees themselves on the receiving end of something, but where they're not really in control of what they're purchasing, right? They're not in control of the factors going into what they're purchasing. So they're just being sold to, right? They're taking things at face value. When we're consumers and when we're consumer minded, which is how we all start off as first generational business founders or nonprofit founders, we're gonna give in to some things that we thought might be good for us, but turns out it wasn't a great investment, or it turns out it wasn't what was promised. And that's because we were thinking as consumers, right? I also find that there's a few signs to look for when we're operating as consumers, and that is looking outside of ourselves for direction. So meaning we hire a coach or get a program, a course, or just kind of any sort of training, and we trust that. We trust the expertise of someone else more than ourselves, right? The second thing is that as consumers, we will utilize tools as business, confusing a tool with our actual business. And as a result, we can end up being slaves to our machines or just even our business in general, right? So a perfect example of this is social media. A lot of us may not even have business workflows or systems set up to support ourselves without social media, for example, right? And so we rely on the algorithms, we rely on the trends, and we're thinking that, well, look, Facebook or social media generates leads, social media does marketing, social media gets me buyers, right? So we're confusing all the platforms and tools we use as our business. And as a result, we really might be putting ourselves in a position where we're putting all of our eggs in that basket. Before you know it, a tool goes down, it gets hacked, or something happens and we lose access to everything because we were dependent on the tool rather than building something that is outlasting any tool and can operate independently of tools while getting the same results, if not better. Finally, another pattern I see when we're operating as consumers is that we might be asking how to get certain results in a specific amount of time. So for example, if you're typing into Google saying, how do I get $50,000 a month? So if we are asking ourselves or anyone, how do I get? It shows that we're not leading. Again, we're thinking as consumers because we're not asking the question that would actually require us to embody and be different. So we're choosing a shortcut or a to-do or a tutorial over embodiment and doing the inner work, okay? And this is why, again, I really incorporate yoga consciousness into business because it all starts at a spiritual level, an emotional, psychological level, where if we're not being different, we're not going to get different results. We might for a little bit, but inevitably it's not going to be sustainable. So now let's talk about what conscious creation looks like versus consumerism. When we're consciously creating, we're not reacting to what's in front of us. We're not taking things at face value and putting things on a pedestal. Instead, we're on a throne, we're on the pedestal, and we trust our intuition above all. We understand that we as conscious creators have the authority to decide what something's going to be. We can decide we are successful before any numbers, before anything exterior to us says so, right? So we're defining and setting the tone for what our businesses will look like as a result of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about ourselves as conscious creators of our business and of our success. Second, conscious creator will use tools without being dependent on them. So conscious creators, when we lead as conscious creators of our business, we're gonna have the systems in place that can stand apart from social media, stand apart from any tool that you're using, and you're gonna get results. That allows you to be a lot more versatile and flexible and adaptable with the tools you come across, teammates, even coaches and agencies, because you're not relying on what they give you. You're not relying on their formulas. You know what works for you. You've already tested it. You're confident in your results. You do what feels naturally to you. You work with your own creativity, and you're not put inside a box. And now everything can be used. Every tool can be used without you having to be completely dependent on just one way to use it. Okay? Finally, when we're conscious creators, we seek to embody over doing. Okay? So instead of asking how to get, we're saying, am I being? What am I? What am I being? Right? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? And even if we may experience doubts and we may feel, crappy, we're still holding the will, the spirit, the authority of, no, I am successful, and I am confident, and I am a leader, right? So we're defining ourselves not by anything outside of us. We're choosing to set an intention within ourselves, and we are directing that intention from within, regardless of what appearances on the outside of us may tell us. So that's conscious creating. In our next video, we're going to go into more. All right, so that's the first video in the series, and I'll see you in the next one.